Pytest Framework. In this class, we'll discuss how you can skip test cases, how you can order test cases. Very important. Let me take the scenario. Suppose if you have multiple test methods in a class, a function which is defined inside a class is called as a method. If it is related to test, then it is called as test method. If we are having multiple test methods in a class, if we want to execute specific test method out of some 100 test methods, suppose if I want to execute some 10 test methods, or if I want to execute some 15 test methods, likewise if I want to execute specific test methods, this is as per my requirement out of multiple methods, then we can skip tests based on condition. How you can skip test, we'll see in a while, don't worry. We can skip tests based on some condition. So you will just skip some of the test methods which you don't want to execute. So you can execute only specific test methods. So yes, the test cases have been executing, or the test methods have been executing. If I want to execute them in order, I will use ordering. Very important. One of the feature of Selenium, ordering, skipping features of Pytest. One of the features like fixtures, skipping tests, and ordering. 3 features of framework we have discussing up to now. If I want to control order of execution or execute in proper order, you anyway will execute test methods. You want them to execute in proper order. Then we go for ordering. Similarly, suppose if you have some 10 test methods. If suppose say 9th test method should execute if 8th test method passed only. So I can say 9th test method is dependent on 8th test method. So dependency is there. If I log in into that particular application only, then I can search. Otherwise, how I can search? The similar way, to search anything in the application, first you need to log in. So for searching dependencies, logging into the application. So likewise, if there are any dependent tests, we can use dependency in the Pytest framework. It is one of the feature. Fixtures, skipping, ordering, and dependent tests. How you can skip, how you can order, how you can make the test methods dependent on other test methods, we will see. So meanwhile, we are also having other features which we'll be discussing in the coming class. Go to PyCharm, create a new directory, or instead of directory, you can also create a package. Let me create a package of day36-pytest2. So instead of inside this, I'm just creating a new Python file. It is a test, always a module. When you are defining test methods, you should start with test underscore. This is what the naming conventions which you have already seen. Test underscore skipping. So first thing we need to do is we need to import Pytest. And after importing Pytest, you can use the features of Pytest. Let me define a class, nothing but a test class. If you can see, this is a test class. Inside this, we are having multiple methods. Always a method should start with test or can end with test. What are the naming convention? and I am using just assertions, validation points. So by default, any test method will pass until unless I put an assertion. Then if you execute in terminal pytest -s-v, and you can specify the terminal name. So this is what we have seen yesterday. So in the data-6, it is pytest2, and in this I am having test underscore skipping. This is the module name, and in this I am having test class as a class method. So I want to execute all the methods inside this particular test class. So what I'm doing, I'm just passing this particular string. Very important. You need to specify that package or the directory, and inside the directory you should specify that module name, and inside the module name you can specify the class. So I don't want to execute all the methods. Instead of this, I can just specify call in test method. So in this way you can execute. What is the other way? You can execute by using the green button. You can click on the green button if you want to execute a particular method or all the methods in this particular class. Right now I am executing it only terminal, just for your understanding. If you can see, it is executed 3 test methods. So collected 3 items. Day36 pytest2 skipping. Yes, this is test login mail. In this it has printed. This is login mail, and assertions. So 1 is equal to 1. So it is true. It will pass. This particular test method will be passed. 1 equal to 1. This particular test method will be passed. Assertion. Assertion means validation point. Suppose if there is any mismatch, then this particular test method will be failed. But in this case, I'm just passing the test methods. By default, I'm passing. So that is the reason why these are all passed. Now, suppose like these test methods, I am having suppose 100 test methods, but out of 100 test methods, I want to execute this only. You can just specify like this. You can try to execute. But if you can see, you can take another test methods. Let me define another test methods. So I am using another test method. So this is login email. Another. This is another method. Similar login Facebook. Another. I'm just specifying like this. So it is also one of the method. So if you can see, there are total 6 methods inside this test class. During execution of this test class, no, I don't want to execute all the 6 test methods. Instead of this, I want only few of these test methods to be executed. Suppose if you can see, if I execute, again I am executing that particular test class. So when I execute here or from terminal, only specifying the class name, all the test methods will be executed. If you can see, collected 6 items, because total 6 test methods. So total 6 items. But if you want to execute whole test class, but during execution of the class, I don't want to execute few of the test methods. How I can do? You can skip those test methods. This is what we have seen. We have multiple test methods in a class. If I want to execute specific test methods out of multiple test methods, we can skip test. How you can skip test? It is one of the feature so of Pytest. Definitely you need to use Pytest. As like yesterday we have seen at the rate of pytest.fixture. If you want to skip, you can use at the rate pytest dot mark dot skip. So when I specify like this about this particular method, during execution of this class, this particular test method will be skipped. Likewise, I don't want suppose second test method to be executed when I execute this particular class. So what you can do, you can just specify above that particular method at the rate Pytest. It is one of the feature in Pytest. So you need to call that Pytest. It is nothing but an annotation. At the rate Pytest dot mark dot skip. When you specify skip, definitely it will skip this particular test method execution during execution of this particular class. If you can see it from here, I am just executing all the classes, all the methods in this particular test class. I am just executing. If you can see, collected 6 items, but it is skipped. If you can see, it is also skipped. So that is the reason why you are not seeing any statement inside that particular method. It is saying unconditional skip. You are just skipping. You are not specifying any condition. That will be fine. There is no problem in that. So, and only see 4 passed, 2 skipped, because we have just skipped 2 test cases, 4th and 2nd. So in this way, if you want only specific test cases to be executed, you will not execute all the test cases in that case. So in the another way, what I can say, if you can skip some test cases, you can execute whatever the test cases you want. So I will execute it in terminal as well. Go to terminal, just to specify the class name. If you can see, collected 6 items, but it has passed only 4 passed and 2 skipped, because unconditional skipped. If you can see, it is highlighted with different color. In this way, you can skip test methods, whatever the test methods, if you want, you can skip. Another point, you have skipped the test cases, but instead of this, I want to make them execute in order. How I can execute? So if I want to control the order of execution, nothing but with respect to test methods or execute in proper order, we have ordering feature in Pytest. How you can order? So definitely you need to use markers. So it is also a marker. If you see here, at the rate Pytest dot skip, we'll be seeing ordering at the rate Pytest dot mark dot. You can specify in which order it should execute. We will see in a while. Let me write that point as well before, after making you understand with an example. So let me create another Python module of test underscore ordering. So in this, I'm just importing Pytest. You need to import Pytest if you want to use the features of that Pytest. So I'm just defining a class, test class, and inside this test class, I'm having multiple methods. So let me define, suppose define test method, test underscore method. It should be the syntax. And when you are defining a method, it should be passed a self keyword. And inside this, I'm just defining, suppose if you can see, like, let me define this as method C. So let me print some custom statement. When this method is executed, I should print this is method C. Similarly, I'm having multiple methods. If you can see, inside this particular class only, I'm having multiple methods with different names. Let me make you understand. If you can see, this is method D. You can think of instead of C. This is method E. This is method A. This is method B. D, E, A, B. So inside this class, I'm having multiple methods: A, B, E, D, C. So if you see, the order is not proper. Actually, after A, we should get B, thereafter C, thereafter D, thereafter E. So when I execute this particular class, if you can see, this is method C. This is not executed in order. First A should come. In general, we can say in alphabets, we should have A, thereafter B, then C. So likewise, if you can zigzag like this also. Let me make you understand in this way. So when I execute the whole class, if you can see, after C you are getting A. In which order you define the test methods, in the same order only they have been executing, but I don't want them to execute in which order I define. I want to execute them in order. How I can execute? When you are executing this particular class, in which order I define these test methods, in the same order only they have been executed, C, E, D, A, B, but it should not be the case. Even though I define in the random order, it should execute in the same alphabetical order. After A, first it should print A, thereafter B, C, D, E. But this is not the case here. This is how we'll go for ordering. You need to order, even though you give them in a random way, the execution should be in the proper order. You should control the order. So for this, you need to use ordering. So for ordering, you need to install a package in the Pytest. Go to File, Settings, Python Interpreter, Pytest, Ordering. If you can see, this is the package. Click on Install. If you want version, specific version, you can specify that version here. Install package. After installing, close. OK. Click on OK. So you can use that ordering package right now. So what you can do? You can just use @pytest dot mark dot. You can specify the order. So suppose if you can see, these are the test methods which we have defined. When I execute this particular class, these are executed in the same order which I defined, but I don't want to execute in that order. I want to execute first A. What I will do, I will just specify @pytest dot mark dot first. When I specify first, it will execute first. When I specify second, this particular test method will be executed in the second order. Similarly, this is in the third order, method C. Method D in the fourth order. Method E in the fifth order. So you are just controlling the order of execution, not in the random order which you defined. You are just controlling the order. So if you want to order, definitely you need to specify these markers. So these are all the markers. First is a marker, fifth is a marker, fourth is a marker, third is a marker, second is also marker. So what you need to do, you need to specify markers in INI file. Very important. Let me write that point. So what you are doing, you are just specifying that order. So let me define that point here. Pytest.ini file. So it contains customized markers. You are just customizing the name. First, second, fifth, fourth, like this. These are by default not from the Pytest, but if you want to make them to execute in the order, the Pytest should understand. So these are customized markers you have defined as per your name. Instead of this, you can also give any another name you want. So a pytest.ini file like confutest.py, which contain fixtures there, in the pytest.ini file contains customized markers. So mark.fifth, when I say mark, these are after mark, these are markers. Very important. If you don't specify markers, the orders are not executed in specific order. If you can see here, I'm just executing this particular test class. So this is by default in the order only. When you specify first, second, third, fourth, fifth, these are executed in order because this second, first, this Pytest ordering will know that this method should execute first. So that is the reason it has executed A, it has executed B, it has executed C, it has executed D, it has executed E. But if you want to define your own markers, like instead of this first one, second one, fifth one, fourth one, third one, if you can see, if you can execute, see the order is not in the proper way. The order of execution is not in the proper. But if you specify third, fourth, first, second like this, that Pytest ordering package will know that yes, it should execute first, it should execute third, it should execute fifth. So if you can execute it here one more time, you can see in the order it has been executed A, B, C. But when I specify once here, so these are customized markers. So which Pytest ordering will not know. So what you need to do, you need to specify these markers, fourth one, fifth one, like this in the ini file. So right click on this, create a file, Pytest. Let me write it in the small letters. Pytest.ini. So let us see if it is asking for installation. We'll see, that will be fine. So you need to specify that's customized markers here. These are my customized markers. If you can see, I'm just adding it like this. You need to specify the markers like this. Let me copy this and let me paste. You are seeing here. So you are just specifying customized markers here. First one, second one, third one, fourth one, fifth one. So you need to specify them as markers. So in the pytest.ini file, you will specify. So by default, this Pytest or PyCharm which we are using will not support ini file. If required, we can install. If not required, we can ignore this warning. So what I am doing, I'm just specifying these customized markers in the ini file. You should specify like fixtures in conftest.py. You should specify customized markers like this in pytest.ini file. Once you specify, if you click on this class test button, if you can see, these are not executed in order still, because it should read that markers, right? If it is reading, if it is to be readed, then it should support this plugin. So click on install ini plugin, click OK. And if you can see, this error has been gone. Let us try to see one more time. Still, it is not executed in the proper order. So this is the customizer marker which we specified. Third 1, 2, 3. This Pytest ordering package will not know anything. But when you execute from this class level by using this green button, so all the 5 items will be executed. But this should not be the case. This is only just for your quick execution and seeing the results, like using this green button. But most of the times in pipelines as well, you will pass this particular execution string. So when you execute like this, if you see third 1, 2, 3, this is the marker which I didn't place it in the ini file. Always the markers, like customized markers, should be placed in ini file. So if you can see, first one, let me remove all the markers here in the ini file. What you can do, let me execute this by using this execution string. If you can see, 5 passed, yes, these 5 are all passed, but you are having 5 warnings. Because what are all the markers? First one, fifth one, second one, these markers, I didn't place them in the ini file. These are customized markers. But if you can see, third, fourth, fifth, first, second, and if you can execute the same class, there will be errors, because these are also warnings. But when you execute it from here, there will be no errors, because you are just executing just for your understanding. It's like a function. So, but when you are executing through terminal, you are getting the warning. So to avoid warnings, what you need to do, these are all the markers. First, second, fifth, fourth, third. These are all my markers. I need to specify those markers. And I'm just specifying those markers here in the ini file. So once you execute this, so all the methods is executed in order without errors. In this way, when you define your own markers, your own marker name, you need to specify that marker name in the ini file. So likewise, you can specify the dependent tests here, dependency, keyword, sanity if you are grouping group of test cases, which we'll be seeing in the next class. So test ordering. Instead of this, what you can do, you can use the default method. So instead of these customized markers, what you can do, you can just use the default ordering. What is the default ordering? You need to specify that order variable or order parameter. If you can see here, you are just importing that Pytest, and after importing, what you are doing, you have created a test class name, and you are just specifying, yes, this particular test method should run in the third order 3. You are just specifying order is equal to 3. So this is default order. If you define like this, if you specify like this, by default, when you install this Python ordering package, this ordering will come. Order is equal to 3, order is equal to 4, order is equal to 5. So in this order only, in the first execution, this particular method A will be executed. In the second order, this particular method will be executed. You can change the order numbers as well. So this is the default method, which it will come when you install Python ordering package. So if you execute from the terminal itself, see all the methods is executed in order. You have just specified order is equal to 1. You have not specified any customized markers like this here. You did not define anything. You just define the default order of execution like this. You need to specify the order number. So in this way, you can control the execution order of the test methods, even though you define the test methods randomly. In which order you want, you can execute by using ordering feature in the Pytest. Then suppose like this, you are having multiple test methods. Let's say fifth test method is dependent on fourth test method, or fifth test method is dependent on third test method. So dependency is there. So if there is dependency, then if that particular method is passed, then only that dependent method should be executed. How you can execute the dependent test methods based on another test method execution? So what I'm doing, please open this INI file, because in the INI file, I will specify markers like this, customized markers. So for execution in the order. Similarly, you can also specify dependency here, dependency. Why? Because you are just using one of the feature of this Pytest dependency. How you can use that dependency? Let me create a Python file of test underscore dependency. So what I'm doing, I'm just defining a test class. If you can see, this is the test class. Inside this test class, what I'm doing, I'm defining test methods. Test open app, this is one test method. Test login, this is another test method. After logging in, I need to search. After searching, I can click on filters, advanced searches. This is what the hierarchy which we do whenever searching in an application. Thereafter, after searching is completed, we can just log out that. So if you can see, first thing for doing all these operations, logging in, searching, advanced search, logout, first you need to open the app. After opening, you can perform all these actions. So this particular logging into that application is dependent on opening the app. First, if you open the app only, then you can log in. What you can do, you can just specify @pytest.mark.dependency. Very important. You need to specify the dependency here. I have just specified it here. So mark.dependency, it is also a customized marker. So you need to specify that particular dependency name which you define here. After that, this particular test method is dependent on in the test class. Yes, in this particular class, you are having test open app. With this method, it is dependent on. After opening that application only, then you can log in. So if you want to search after logging in only, you can search. Like in the test class, you have test login. After in this particular method, with this particular method, this particular method is dependent on this particular method. You are just specifying depends equal to, and you are just specifying in that particular class the method which it depends on, with the help of @pytest.mark.dependency. Similarly, Suppose advanced search. If you want to do advanced search, what you need to do first? You need to log in. Thereafter, you can do search. So it is dependent on advanced search is dependent on searching as well as logging in. After search only you can click on filters. So that is the reason why you specified in the test class. It is dependent on login, advanced search. Similarly, after logging in, we should search something. After searching something, we will get some results. Out of those results, I want to make filters. So that is the reason, even though after searching, we want to do advanced search, after searching only, you can perform advanced search action. So it is dependent on login and it is dependent on search. So we have specified two test methods in which this particular test method is dependent on. In this way, you can make dependency. If that particular method only pass, then you can execute this particular method. So in this case, suppose if test login fails, if login fails, then you cannot do search operation. This particular search will be failed. Similarly, advanced search, similarly, logout as well. If you don't log in, why you will log out? After doing all the actions, after logging in only, you can log out. Not after doing advanced search. Yes, you can log out after doing advanced search, but anytime you can log out. It is only dependent on login. So that is the reason why you have specified depends. In this particular class, you just specify that method name @mark.dependency. So if you don't specify dependency here, if you can execute this test underscore ordering, not ordering, it is dependency. We have seen it previously. We will get errors if we don't specify this name, like in the ordering, third, fifth, fourth, like this, we'll get warnings like this. So I don't want warnings. So let me execute this first so that you can see that warnings. If you can see, one failed because I'm just asserting false here. So out of 5, 1 will fail because this validation is false. So this particular test method will not pass. So if you see, we are getting warnings. I don't want warnings. So that is the reason why what I'm doing. I am just specifying this dependency. It will say unknown Pytest mark.dependency. Is this a typo? You can register custom markers. So where you can register in the INI file, you can register it here. If you specify here, when you execute it one more time, you will not see warnings. 4 failed, 4 passed, 1 failed because you are just asserting false here. Validation is false in the test set. So in this way, you can make dependency between the tests. Very important features. So in short, what I can say, markers are used to, up to now what we have discussed in that context, I am making you understand with the help of markers. What is the markers? Markers are used to skip, order and make dependency between tests. So in interview, they will ask what are markers. We have only discussed up to skipping, ordering and dependent in this particular class. You need to say, if you are attending the interview right now, skipping, ordering and make dependency between the tests. So all these cases, you have just used one word @pytest.mark, whether it is a dependency, whether it is an ordering, whether it is a skipping, @pytest.mark.skip. All these areas you will find one word common, mark. So markers, where you will register those markers in the INI file. You will place those markers, customized markers in the INI file. Very important. In the coming class, we will see how you can group, how you can parameterize, how you can do parallel testing.